Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. Tottenham Hotspur, what do you do to us? It's the start of the season. This must be the exciting bit. That was a rubbish trip back. Felt like a defeat, didn't it? It's really weird. I know it's the first game of the season. We're going to really kind of pull apart this game and look at, there were some positives, but my goodness, there were some little bits and pieces that had left over, hangovers of last season, which were very annoying. And it meant getting in at just before 2 a.m. this morning and then starting work early next day, as many people would have made that trip had to do. And having to pay for the privilege for you guys. I can only imagine what that must be like. But hey, I don't want to start with a sigh. Who wanted to start the Premier League season with a sigh? But, it's like that kid that I always kind of get in my head that's on like the viral videos that just was opening his, I think it was a Christmas present. Was it a book or something? And he goes, "What the heck is that?" And that's exactly how I felt about what Spurs did pretty much from minute 57 onwards, really. Just that moment, I think Ange was all of us. When Richarlison balloons a header over the crossbar from Bergvall's lovely free kick. And he had every opportunity, I think, just to try and nod it in. But it was very much a player who hasn't played for a while. And just Postecoglou just kind of looks and just sinks downwards and puts his hands on his knees and looks at the floor. I just hope that doesn't end up becoming a defining image. Hopefully that is just a moment when it got a little bit better, I hope, afterwards. But my goodness. Sonny did an interview with beIN Sports as well. He was asked about Solanke and he said, I think Dom did a really good job, even in the striker's job, not just with the ball, but without the ball as well. He was pressing really well, making problems for the defenders. For the older viewers, someone pointed out it was Don Johnson up front yesterday. Which, for those under the age of probably, 35, 40, that's going to mean very little. For the older ones, we'll know about the actor Don Johnson, who was in Miami Vice. But there you go, among other things. Enough about 80s TV shows. Actually, Son went on a bit. Son was quite annoyed afterwards. He was asked about that, the whole thing, and he said, "We did create a lot of chances, but creating chances is not enough." This is Son. "We're here playing football to score goals, and that's why we press high. That's why we play football. Why we take risks to score goals." So it was a good part, the creating chances, but obviously you look always at the way you can improve, where your weakness was in the game. So I think today was a great example that we can improve in the final third. It definitely has to be improved because we want to score goals. If you don't want to make mistakes like this, then you have to improve. It's very, very frustrating, especially first half. And even before we conceded the goal, I think we dominated the game and we controlled the game really well. I think in the first half, we could have made the game easier for us and made a final decision and found the right passes in the final third, but we didn't. So this is primarily why when you're missing these clinical opportunities, and I think against a team that always waits for their chances, and I think that's what Leicester did, it's very frustrating, but this is another lesson. As a team, you want to be top and you have to be clinical. And when you are especially winning, I think this was very, very frustrating. I think it means when you're leading, you have to be clinical as well. Look, it is a front line that hasn't played together, and that could be seen. It was a little disjointed at times. There were moments when either Solanke was waiting for the ball and Son or Johnson weren't able to get it to him, or Porro or Doggy weren't able to get it to him. And there were other moments when Son and Johnson would get into quite good positions, look to pull the ball back, and Solanke was maybe too advanced. He was behind the defender. It was a bit clunky in that respect. But Solanke, I did feel needed better service. I was really disappointed, I think, in Brennan Johnson overall. Overall, in his attacking sense. Defensively, I think it kind of probably went under the radar what he did defensively. He got 6 tackles on the day, which was the joint most on the pitch with Fatawu. The other way, going forward, it kind of felt like he carried his slightly inconsistent pre-season into the season. Wasn't good. I think, I don't want to lump Maddison into that, by the way. He got 3 key passes, 1 assist. He looked bright. I did feel like he faded a fair bit, and that's probably because didn't get the game time in pre-season. It was mostly 45 minutes. I think he had 1 60-minuter. but he looked like he very quickly lost his impact on the game as the second half wore on and they got the upper hand. But with Brennan Johnson, look, I think Dejan Kulusevski would be very, very aggrieved to have been left out. He was Spurs' best player this summer over pre-season by a mile. Absolutely their best. And I would have still, even though he's been playing mainly centrally in the pre-season, I still would have fitted him in as the right winger, because you've got to earn something. You know, you've got to be rewarded for being that good and that sharp and that on your game during the summer. Otherwise, it's kind of like, well, what was the point? Lucas Bergvall, I think he did really well. I was really, really impressed with Lucas Bergvall. For me, he was probably the pick of the bunch of the subs that came on. Probably the most exciting for me in that he, like I said earlier, got the ball 39 times, which was more than Solanke managed in the entire game. 96.2% success rate. And he certainly early on when he came on, he was very bright, very much coming around, demanding the ball, wanting to be the playmaker. He was kind of doing what Maddison had been doing, was very much demanding the ball, taking it on. They were comfortable giving him. He wasn't losing it until there was one moment. He lost the ball deep in his own half, kind of down the left flank. He had two home players, Leicester players, breaking him down. Cole Palmer is PFA Young Player of the Year. That's just been announced as I'm doing this. He lost the ball. It's one of those where I don't think the movement around him was great. He didn't have too many options, but he dribbled back down towards his own goal. And that was probably the main mistake that he made in it. Lost the ball, they broke, and it led to a cross and a header that Vicario saved. Vicario went absolutely ballistic at young Lucas Bergvall. Like, he looked like a chastised schoolboy. He started off like Lucas Bergvall going, and then he kind of very quickly just like red face just took it. He looked so flushed, his face, because Vicario was going at him. He was like doing all of this. He was like flinging his arms around, getting very, very animated, as he does, Vicario. I've seen some people have had an issue with it. I don't. I think if he's 18-year-old and old enough to be on that pitch and considered one of the senior players and out there and doing that, I think he's also can get a bit of a rollicking at one point. That's fine. It did impact him slightly in the next couple of minutes in terms of I felt his passing suddenly got a lot safer. He was playing one-touch stuff just to get it to someone else and not get himself caught again. But I actually think being told off, it's all part of life. It is. You learn from it. He will learn now that in that scenario, he's not going to dribble towards his own goal. He's very good, Bergvall. He's been over this summer of receiving the ball in tight spots around his own box. But he will learn from that incident, okay, maybe don't dribble towards my own goal line. Kind of, again, that would be great.